On Christmas Eve 1945, a fire ripped through the Sodder family home in West Virginia. The parents and 4 of their children escaped, but 5 children were never seen again. No bodies were found, no remains were recovered, and for decades the family received a bizarre letter, alleged photos, and suspicious threats that suggested the missing kids might still be alive. This is the unsolved mystery of the Sodder children. What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Rocco, are you excited? You're back. Front row seat, Rocky. Hey, sit. Rocky, what do you think happened to the Sodder family? A good guess, my guy. That's a very good guess. But today we're going to dive deep into this mystery because I came across it not too long ago on the TikTok, and it interested me. Oh, Rocky is gone. Yes, we're going to deep dive into this family mystery, and I would love to hear your guys' feedback by the end. So let's dive deep into the family and the setup. George and Jenny Sodder were Italian immigrants raising a large family of 10 children. First off, George's pull-out game is weak. George owned a successful trucking business, and his family was well liked in the town. But there was tension. George was outspoken about his political views. Oh, here we go. Especially his criticism of Italian dictator Benito Mussolini. Yeah, in a small town with other Italian immigrants. Not long before Christmas 1945, 2 strange incidences occurred. A man tried to sell George life insurance. When George refused, the man snapped back. "Your house is going to go up in smoke and your children are going to be destroyed. You are going to be paid for the dirty remarks you've been making about Mussolini." First off, suspect number 1, insurance. The insurance guy. For what's about to come for George, his future here in a couple days, that is a wild, specific sentence to be said. Not soon after that, on the evening, December 24th, the Sodder celebrated Christmas around 10 p.m. Most of the children headed to bed, and some stayed up to play with their toys. George and Jenny went to sleep. At around 12:30, Jenny was awakened by a phone call. A woman on the line asked for someone Jenny didn't know and laughed strangely before hanging up. But she went back to sleep. Just a half hour later, Jenny woke up again, this time to the smell of smoke. Oh, and I think there was an incident to where at like 1 o'clock in the morning, she heard like a weird noise on the roof. Because that comes into play later. I forgot to add that in there. So she heard a weird noise at 1 a.m., didn't think much of it, and just went back to bed. So now she smells smoke. Flames are spreading rapidly through the house. George and Jenny and 4 of their children managed to escape, but 5 children, Marcy, age of 14, Martha, 12, Louis, 9, Jenny, 8, and Betty, 5, were trapped upstairs. George tried everything to save them. He broke a window, cutting his arm. He ran to get his ladder, but mysteriously, it was missing. What are the odds? He tried to use his truck to reach the upstairs window because I think he worked his truck had like a ladder system in the back to where you could raise it up. If you backed it up and you could, I think, raise up the ladder, you could get to it. So he tried to do that, but his truck wouldn't start either. Even though they'd worked fine earlier that day. Meanwhile, Jenny ran to call the fire department, but the phone didn't work. It took someone went to town and got the fire, sought out the fire chief, got the fire chief, and then for some reason it took him 7 hours to get there. If I'm George, sitting at the fire, really took you guys long, didn't it? They're like, go ahead and just turn around. It's already over. My children are dead because of you, you dick. Eventually, the investigators ruled the fire was caused by faulty wiring, but George had recently had the wiring checked. It was fine. Another odd scenario, if I'm being honest. Most chilling, When the ashes cooled, no remains of the children were found. No bones, no teeth, nothing. Experts later testified that even in a house fire, bones should remain, especially of children, whose bones burn slower than adults. Other strange details emerged. A neighbor claimed to see a man leaving the fire scene with a block and tackle used for car engines, possibly why George's truck wouldn't start. Another witness reported seeing a missing Sodder children peering out of a car as it sped away from the fire. In the days after, Jenny found a strange object in the yard, like a rubber napalm type device, suggested the fire may have been arson. Now, remember the thing I talked about to where she heard something at 1 a.m? That would explain something getting thrown on the roof, you know, because not long after she heard that, then there was a fire in the house. So, phone line was cut. They saw a man stealing something from George's truck, which, if I'm being honest, I believe, I don't remember who it was exactly, but he stole that thing off, and he went to go cut the power line, but he accidentally, instead he cut the phone line, which is already your suspect number 2 at that point. You got the insurance guy, and then then this guy who stole this thing from George's truck. Yeah. And then the fire department's number 3, because why did it take them 7 hours? And this led to the fire chief saying, yo, they got cremated. The fire got hot enough and they got cremated. Yet it just said it not possible, because the children's bone does it. And Jenny did test this out by some small rat bones and like dead animals, and she burned them in the fireplace, and nothing. It stayed. It just crisped the bone. The fire chief. It wasn't in this notes, but I have this down. Months later, Fire Chief F.J. Morris told the Sodders he had found a child's heart in the ashes. Instead of sending it to analysis, he buried it in the box on their property. I think the fire chief at this point becomes suspect number 2, because the insurance man was still spot on for what happened, and the fire chief is now needing to be investigated. You were 7 hours late, and now you found a heart, apparently, but no body parts? You found a heart, and you buried it in front of the house? So, obviously, the Sodders demanded him give us that heart, give us the box, and they took the heart to go get examined. It tested to be cow liver, not a heart, not human, and never burned. So this fire chief went out of his own way, got some cow liver, and buried it in a box at the house, and then waited a couple months to tell them this is what happened. Suspect number 1 now. Or no, he's still 2. I think he's still 2. Suspect number 2 still. At this point, it's been 5 years. It's moved on. The Sodders hired a private investigator. George personally traveled across the U.S. chasing leads. Each time, the trail ended abruptly. Some believe the mafia shut down any progress before it could go too far. It's when people started speculating that it went from his take on the mafia and his take on the whole Italians, that this was a mafia situation, which it very well could be. I feel like it's a good 40% chance that it was, because there was a lot of rumors going around that the fire chief was actually paid off by the mafia. The fact that there was no bones found, and it would make sense to why the fire chief and the whole team waited, or not waited. It took them 7 hours to get there. The mob probably paid him off, and then the burying the heart definitely is a sign of like something weird, if I'm being honest. And the fact that George kept getting clues from the investigator, and they just always ended weirdly or done, to where this is probably the mafia messing with our poor man George. They did eventually put up a billboard all over West Virginia pleading for answers. Over the years, clues trickled in. A woman claimed she saw the children with the strangers in the Charleston Hotel. When she tried to ask or talk to the children, some Italian men were with them. So there we go again. There was Italian men with the children, and every time the woman who worked at the hotel tried to talk to the children, they would shut it down. They'd be like, no, you just shut it down, get the kids away. She said she saw them in Florida in 1967. Jenny received a photograph in the mail of a man in his 20s with a note saying, Louis Sodder, I love brother Frankie, little boys, 890132 or 35. The resemblance of her missing son, Louis, was uncanny, but the cryptic note made no sense. One of the strange theories is the Italian mafia involvement. Some believe the Sodders were targeted for George's anti-Mussolini stance, and the children were kidnapped to punish him. Others think it was a local grudge, but the official record, still accidental fire, no remains, no closure. Which sucks, if I'm being honest. Because you just feel bad for the man, if I'm being honest. Because it also makes you more upset for Jenny, because she had nothing to do with this, and she has 5 children missing. Rocky, do you think the mafia was involved? Tell the people, Rocky. Was the mafia involved? That's a good one. That is a good one, Rocco. George and Jenny never stopped searching. George even traveled across the U.S., chasing down leads. George eventually died in 1969, never knowing what happened to his children. Jenny wore black every day until her death in 1989. The surviving Sodder children kept the case alive for decades. Their haunting billboard they put up on Route 16 with the children's photos stood for almost 40 years, becoming a roadside landmark. To this day, no trace of the 5 children has ever been found. Were they kidnapped? Did someone start the fire on purpose, or did they truly perish in a blaze that left no evidence behind? It is truly heartbreaking for Jenny, the fact that she wore black all the way up till her death, the rest of her life. It's a sad story for sure, but a very interesting cold case. Because I feel like there was more of a chance that the kids died in the fire than the mafia taking them. But there is clues there to support the mafia situation. I hope. I don't know what's worse. What's worse here? The fire or getting kidnapped? You're alive with the mafia, but they're probably sold off, which is probably even worse. So, I don't know. Obviously, the case is pretty much, I don't know if it's closed or if it's like still open today. But yeah, no, it's a very sad and interesting story. I want to know what you guys think of this. It's very interesting to me. Rocco seemed to really enjoy it. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Comment down below. Did the kids get sold off or kidnapped by the mafia, or did they burn in the fire? I do hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys. If you made it here, thank you guys so much for watching. More of this style content is going to be rolling out almost every Tuesday. So subscribe so you don't miss that. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.